All right, man. Let's talk about this debacle in Miami. Let's get into it.
This is the dynamic play. He's in. Look at him dive. Look at him stop. With a second down and goal. Oh, look at that. Shovel pass. Breaks a tackle on was Sanders. He gets by the defensive back Mathis and takes it in for 6. A-Chain spinning. Mostert blocked in there. Touchdown.
So, hey, if you don't know me, my name is Keith. I do Black Quarterback Series. And today we got a lot to talk about. Like I said, we're going to start in Miami. So, Tua, we're going to start with Tua first. 23 for 26, 309 yards, 4 touchdowns. Russ, 23 for 38, 306 yards, a touchdown and an interception. It didn't matter. The final score was 20-70 in an NFL game. If I showed you that score, you probably thought it was college, like Old Dominion against Oregon or something, you know? Like, it was never close. From the word go, it was an ass whooping. It was wild. It was wild. And so Sean Payton want to go up there next question and not answer questions. No. You built this sugar honey iced tea. You talked about how the coaching was so bad and it was one of the worst coaching jobs you ever seen. That was the worst coaching job we've ever seen. 70 points. 70 points. And you want to go up there with all that arrogance. It amazes me, man, like how these coaches are so arrogant and then they get smacked and want to act like it didn't happen. That's really all I have to say about that game. Shout out to Tua and them. Tua's put himself in an elite conversation. Now, granted, he got 2 elites on the outside, and one of them didn't even play. But man, what a game! What an offensive explosion! These boys are very, very scary. I didn't look at the total offense before I started recording, but I'm put the total offense on the screen. This was an absolute domination. And so we're going to move on to the other controversial game on the other side of the coin for the most part, the Baltimore Ravens game. And so as I'm speaking, I'm going to show all the missed calls that they had in the fourth quarter. And if I can find them, some of the drop passes. But the biggest play of the game, the biggest 2 plays, is the missed PI in overtime and the likely drop. I'm not sure if that was an overtime or regulation. Those are the 2 biggest plays in the game, as well as the face mask and Tuck missing the kick. But, you know, Tuck gonna hit the next one, so I'm not concerned about that. It was just an absolute display of you guys are going to have to beat us too. It was just ridiculous how bad the reffing was in that last stretch of football. Now, I'm not going to say Lamar was perfect or anything. He missed some passes as well. But it was absolutely terrible. It was terrible. It was terrible. The refs need to be fined and not officiating Lamar games ever again. Because there's no way you missed the PI and you missed the face mask in the game. And they still only won by 3. It was absolutely ridiculous. And so Edwards got a concussion. They had 7 starters out. I think there's 20 players on injury reserve. At some point, Baltimore needs to look internal and like, why are we having all these injuries? Something is going on in Baltimore land to where we having all these injuries. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm sure they know, and they need to solve that quick. And so Lamar went straight backpack in the fourth and third quarter in overtime, or third quarter into overtime. He was running the ball. He had no choice. He had no time. Again, 7 starters out. And he made it close. If they had a fully healthy team, that game would have not been close. Lamar was 22 for 31, 202 carries, 202 yards passing, 14 carries, 96 yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. He did everything he needed to do to try to win. But when your defense is giving up 4 50-yard field goals, which is not really giving up, but 4 50-yard field goals and your offensive line can't block to save your life, this tends to be what happened. Also with the refs, they was in the position to win, and the refs took it away from them. And you might be like, he's just blowing it a little out of proportion. It is a little bit, but when the refs miss calls like this, it takes into question what is your ulterior motive. It just takes what is your ulterior motive. You set a bad precedent. You set a bad precedent for the officiating, and you make your game look rigged. It's absolutely ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And so before I move on to the Sean, I have something I do want to address from last week. I called Lamar Jackson a pocket passer last week, and it's by far my dumbest take ever in the history of this channel. What was I even trying to say? I was trying to say that he didn't lose the game for them. And I guess I just should have said that because I look back at the video and I'm like, ooh, that was terrible. He was a bus driver. He wasn't a game manager like what we're going to talk about, Dak and a couple people. But, yeah, that was a bad take. That was a bad take. I take full responsibility for that bad take. And so we're going to move on to Deshaun Watson. 27 for 33, 289 yards, 2 touchdowns. Very well-rounded game. The running game was flowing. The passing was great. The defense played lights out. Just a full game. Coop was 116 yards, 2 touchdowns. He should have had a second one, but they thought he stepped out, which he didn't step out. It's just a runaway. Deshaun said he would be better, and he was better. He put it together this week. Shout out to him. I said if we'll give Deshaun till Thanksgiving to make a final verdict, and if he keeps playing like this, we won't need to wait till Thanksgiving. He'll be already there, already at the Deshaun level. Because if he can play like this every week, the Browns will be good. Okay, let's get to Dak Prescott. 25 for 40, 249 yards, touchdown and interception. You might think, Keys, those are good numbers. It's Dak Prescott. They were down 10 already. Basically, the mid first quarter on down. I think they took Arizona lightly. And with Diggs being hurt, they thought they could just walk into Arizona and blow Arizona out. And Arizona smacked them in the first quarter, and they didn't know how to respond. Now, granted, they did respond. They ended up scoring, but it was you had already gave Arizona confidence at that point, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter because Arizona was going to run the ball down your throats and play great offense like they were a great offense, which they're not. But this is what happens when you get an NFL team confidence. They gave the Cardinals confidence at the beginning, and they were never able to recover. So people are going to be talking about, oh, my God, the sky is falling, Dallas. You guys know how this goes with Dallas. And so it's really not much to say. It's really not much to say about Dallas other than they're Dallas. Dak Prescott is not who we need him to be. And that contract is looking worse and worse every year. And so let's talk about C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud is what happens when you get a good quarterback and you develop him properly. D'Amico Ryan and them guys in Houston, I said they were going to make the playoffs, and they just beat the prince that was promised. This is how you set a young guy up for success. He didn't have to do too much. You set him up to be successful. You give him some rollouts. You give him some screens. You have a good running game. You have a decent offensive line. Like, this is how you develop a young guy. He was 20 for 30, 280 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I'm very, very impressed with what I'm seeing from CJ. Now, they're not giving him a lot to do. I've really only seen him run maybe like 4 plays. And they just run different variations of that same play. But, hey, you give him a little more each week, and you let him branch out a little more each week. He got some wheels on him. Let him run the ball a little bit. Like, this is how you develop a quarterback. Now, he might just end up being better than Justin Fields. Who knows? But C.J. Stroud looks really, really good. He looks like he's QB1 in this draft. He's looking like he's QB1 in this draft. Young is hurt already. Richardson is hurt already. C.J. Stroud, I think, is the only one still playing for the most part. I love what I'm seeing from him. I still can't get a read on the type of player he is. Maybe you guys can let me know. because I'm still trying to get a read. He's a little unique, you know. So I love what I'm seeing. I absolutely love what I'm seeing with CJ, and I can't wait to watch him more and more. Speaking of somebody I'm starting to really love, Jordan Love. So he was 23 for 44, 259 yards, a touchdown and interception. Remember I told you guys last week that loss was a learning experience. Well, that learning experience worked out this week. They were down 17 going into the fourth and ended up winning 17-18. Now, they got some luck with the missed field goal and the Saints falling apart, but ultimately they won the game. I don't think they win this game, though, if Derek Carr is still in the game. Because Derek Carr was doing what he had to do. He was getting first downs. He was moving the ball correctly. He was doing all that. Jameis came in, and, Jameis was doing Jameis thing. He didn't throw a pick, which is good. But they did what they had to do. Great defense from the Saints at the beginning to mix it up and confuse Green Bay and all that other great stuff. But Green Bay eventually figured it out. And I think they might have started playing prevent too. They were up 17 at the beginning of the fourth. They probably thought they was going to win that game. Because it didn't feel like they had that fervor that they had in the first half when they were getting the love and making him be uncomfortable and doing all this. It didn't feel like that in the second half. It kind of felt like they let their foot off the pedal a little bit, which you're not supposed to do in this league, right? Jordan Love is looking like Green Bay is going to have like 50 years of great quarterback play, which is absolutely maddening if you're the Jets or somebody who hasn't had great quarterback play in 20 years. And for them to have probably going to have 15 more years of great quarterback play is crazy. Games that I'm not really going to talk about. The Kansas City game. We knew Kansas City was going to win. They won. I think they won 41-0. I could care less about Taylor Swift. Here is KC's numbers and all that great stuff. Geno didn't watch the game. Didn't have time. 26 for 36, 23 for 36, 296 yards, a touchdown and interception. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They're gonna fly under the radar just like they did last year. And Geno's gonna play well. We're gonna talk about Zach Wilson. I want to talk about Zach Wilson real quick. It's terrible what's going on in New York. New York needs to stop lying to themselves about Zach Wilson. He is terrible. No amount of coaching is going to keep this man from being terrible. Tony Romo was on TV talking about, okay, well, that play was a little good. He's okay. Baby in the dude. He's terrible. And the sooner the Jets realize that, the sooner the Jets can move on and get a competent quarterback in there. You can't get Jameis no more because Jameis has to play because of the car injury. You need to go get somebody. I don't like Carson Wentz, but at least he's an NFL quarterback. Zach Wilson should be in the XFL next year. That's how bad Zach Wilson is. He shouldn't have been the number 2 pick to begin with. So, I love Justin Fields. And I don't know if he'd have been any more successful in New York, but that pick is looking real, real bad. So, I don't know. I just wanted to lament on that because it's crazy what's going on with the Jets. So that's really all I got for you guys for this week. Stay tuned. Oh, the Eagles. The Eagles will be up top because I did a review on them already. So if you like Marquise Worth, the Eagles review, it's going to be at the top and in the description, and because they're playing Monday night. So I'll see you guys later. Peace.